This is John Beaumont. At 78 years old, he owns oil wells, land businesses, and one of the largest fortunes in Texas. On the outside, everything shines. On the inside, everything is crumbling. 50 years ago, John had it all: energy, dreams, and loyal friends by his side. Today, he has everything money can buy, but what money cannot restore is what he lacks the most: people. This is not just a tale of wealth. It is a warning about the price of loneliness and regret. John was born into a humble family, the son of farmers. At the age of 25, he discovered oil on land he had inherited. His friends, Billy, Hank, and Marcus, had been by his side from the beginning, working tirelessly to turn the dream into reality. With success came temptations: money, fame, and power. John began distancing himself from his old partners, believing that he could earn more on his own. He replaced friendships with contracts and loyalty with profit. He rose, and his friends were left behind. After decades of building an empire, John Beaumont reached the top. But now he faced something that money could not solve. At 78, his body was showing signs of wear, and medical tests indicated a terminal illness. He had always been in control of his life, but now he was confronted with something he could neither buy nor control: time. Sitting in his office, gazing out over the horizon of his vast lands, John felt the weight of reality. The diagnosis was clear: he did not have much time. His illness was eating away at his body, and the frustration of being unable to do anything about it weighed heavily on his chest. While the empire he had built remained strong, he felt that the most important thing was slipping from his grasp: the time he had lost with friends and family. In that moment of vulnerability, John realized that all his material accomplishments meant nothing. The pain of having no one with whom to share his remaining years was more intense than any other loss he had faced. The phone in front of him felt heavy, like a distant object with no power to connect him to what he most desired: the return of the people he had left behind. With trembling fingers, John picked up the phone and dialed the numbers of his old friends. He knew that the chance of reconciliation was slim, but he could not afford not to try. The first number he dialed was Billy's, his childhood friend. The family's answering machine picked up, and the news he feared came gently yet firmly: Billy had passed away 5 years earlier. A deep emptiness took hold of John. Desperate, he rang Marcus, hoping at least to hear his voice. But Marcus's secretary told him that he no longer wanted to speak to John. Marcus, the friend he had pushed away in the pursuit of power, had become a distant, cold figure. The emptiness grew, and regret intensified. Finally, John tried to reach Hank, the last remaining friend. But when he lifted the phone, silence was the only response. Hank, too, had distanced himself. What had once been a solid friendship was now only a distant memory, a page turned that he could not rewrite. Back at the mansion, John could not stop reliving the joyful moments shared with his friends. He walked through the empty halls of his home, feeling the weight of the loss. The old photos were merely dusty reminders of a time that seemed to have vanished with the wind. Amidst the luxury he had built, John found himself in deep isolation. He had spent so much time chasing more money, more power, more recognition, that he had neglected the things that truly mattered. Luxury could not warm his soul, and financial success could not fill the void left by the absence of friendship and love. As he sifted through old boxes of memories, he found unsent letters, photos of friends and relatives he had lost touch with. Tears ran down his face as he looked at the mementos, trying to understand where it had all gone wrong. He had conquered the world, but lost the people who mattered most. The constant ticking of a wall clock echoed in the empty room, marking the passing time. The hurried pace of life had caused him to lose his calm, and now he found himself facing an uncertain future, desperately trying to reclaim what he could no longer reach. After days immersed in regret, John realized that loneliness could not be eased by memories. What he had lost could not be recovered, but he still had the remaining time. Perhaps he could still do something different. One morning, John got up and walked across the vast grounds of his mansion. He stopped in front of an old decommissioned oil pump, touching the rusted metal. There, he lost himself in memories of simpler times, of true friendships, and the loyalty he had lost over the years. Returning to the mansion, The opulence around him seemed oppressive. For the first time in many years, he picked up a pen and began writing sincere letters to his children, old friends and employees. He did not know if they would be read, but he felt the need to express gratitude and ask for forgiveness. As he wrote, he did not worry about perfect words. He wrote from the heart, apologizing for his absence and the distance caused by his relentless pursuit of power and wealth. Later, he called his former employees and listened to them. He wanted to learn about their lives, understand their struggles and victories. This was the first step in rebuilding his humanity, rediscovering the value of the people around him. John understood that true wealth was no longer in his material possessions, but in acts of humanity. He knew he could not recover the lost time, but he still had the chance to act differently. Luxury and achievements no longer held value, only relationships, trust, and sincerity. Although time was short, he wanted to leave a legacy of humility and sincere regret. He knew that his actions could in some way influence the future, restoring humanity to his life and building something more enduring than wealth, the lessons learned in solitude. John learned, too late, that true wealth is not measured in bank balances or accumulated land. We measure life by the love we leave, the memories we share, and the hands we hold along the way. He could not change the past, but he could teach by example. Never trade people for power nor friendships for fleeting achievements, because in the end, all that remains are the stories you left in the hearts of others.